Hello, my name is Wes Booker. I'm the drum major of the Boston Crusaders. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use tonal energy. Alright, let me take you through the basic interface of tonal energy. So, to start, we're going to have this first tab, which is called the tuner tab. In this tab, you're able to obviously tune your instrument and use it while you play and practice. So, in the top left, we have temperament. This is if you want to get really specific whenever you're tuning. Some directors like to use just temperament, and this is based on what key you're playing in to make sure that they all match relative to the tonal center. I'm going to keep it in equal for our purposes because that's what most people use. In the top right, we have the metronome button. This is so that you can use the metronome while you practice. Let's say you want to have the tuner available, but also metronome in the background. You can press play and then still tune while you're playing with the metronome. We'll get into the details of the metronome system later whenever we get to this fourth tab. The rest of the buttons on this page are fine tuning versus medium, wide, and ultra fine. Since I play a wind instrument, I'm going to keep it on wind, but if you play a string instrument or you're a vocalist, you're going to use these other options because they're more fit to your instrument. The in-tune range is basically just how specific you want it to be. So if you have wide, it's going to be way less specific, and it's going to give you this little green smiley face for a wider range instead of fine or ultra fine whenever it's way closer to 0 cents. For these, ultra fine is super specific. Fine is within like plus or minus 2 cents as it says here. Ultra fine is 1 cent, and then it just gets more and more as you go down the line. All right, next we're going to move on to sound. In this tab, you have a very useful function wherever you can make a drone or sustain different notes and chords. So while I play, I like to use drones. Let's say we're in the key of F major. I'm going to put an F drone. If I use that while I play, I'm able to tune it while I play instead of staring at the tuner the entire time. There's a lot of different sounds you can use to make this, drone sound. I like to keep it on tenor trombone because I play bassoon, so it's a bass instrument. You can also select any from a wide range. There's even keyboard sounds, all the woodwinds and strings and brass. You've got a lot of options to choose from. And then, like the previous page, you have the same temperament, especially with this slide is very important. For your just tuning, if we're in C major, let's say we make the chord on key center of 1. It's going to be C, E, and G, and it's going to notice that I'm in the key of 1, or the key of C playing the 1 chord because it's going to lower the third of the chord. The note that's purple whenever you click just temperament is the key center it's based around. So if you want to make it a different key, let's say we have F major, you're going to double click the F. And that way it'll change to the key center of F instead of C. Let's put it back to equal. Great. Next, we're going to go to the analysis tab. This tab is super useful if you want to check like the very minute details of your playing and your volume. As you can see on here, it's going as I'm talking, so obviously it's gonna be all over the place, right? But if I'm playing my instrument and I'm trying to play a single note, I can see whether the starts of my note or the end of my note is consistent with each other. And then also on top of that, it gives you see how there's different colors here and there. The green means that it's in tune for that duration of time, and then the orange, reds, and pinks are signs that it's way out of tune or kind of close or somewhat there. The goal you want to shoot for obviously is more of a wall of sound, very consistent, not wavery, with as much green as you possibly can. And if you're playing in like an ensemble setting, using that just temperament will definitely help out in terms of matching the rest of the ensemble. On this tab as well, you can also play with a metronome and with the just temperament. That's in general like how you use this tab with multiple things. You can record yourself and then go look back on it if you double tap. There's lots of different stuff you can do with this. Lastly, we have the metronome tab. And this tab is where we're going to be spending a lot of time if you're a drum major or if you want to make a lot of click tracks. For this, you can make a lot of presets in order to like fit a show theme or fit any piece that you're playing with a lot of time signature and tempo changes. But the very basic layout, it gives you a meter in the top left. You can choose whatever meter you'd like, and then the subdivision of that meter, right? And if it's mixed meter, there's also options for that in different subdivisions. And then here is whenever you select which accents you want to have during the beat. So it's like the actual subdivision of the beat. Let's say we're in 1/4. It's going to sound like this most of the time if it's a chord or note subdivision. If I want an 8th note subdivision, I'm able to do that. And then if I want triplets and any other one, I'm allowed to do that as well with this button. That way you can practice whichever subdivisions you want based on the rhythms that you're playing in the music. Has a wide selection. All right. And then it also has the option down here on the tempo thing for tap tempo. Let's say I want to go roughly at this tempo. It gave me the estimate of 115. And so that way I can just go at whatever tap I feel like is correct. There's an accent button down here. That makes it to where the beat is stronger on one or not. That is more obvious with other sounds than the one that I'm using. But currently this is the difference. See how there's, if it's more obvious if I'm in a 4/4 meter, right? It's going to accent beat one more than the others versus this. So if that's something you're looking for, you're absolutely allowed to do that. I'm going to keep it on 1/4 for simple purposes. All right, and then the buttons down here, you're allowed to use a lot of options here to like change the metronome sound, and then also adjust like count-ins and all of that other stuff. I'll show you how to do that in the main interface here as well. The main thing down here that you want to focus on is sound. So the sound that I like to use is anything calm whenever I'm practicing for regular stuff. You can also, there's some creative ones like drums with some accents there if you want to play to a more fun beat. And then if you're going to go for like a more marching band style metronome, what we're going to use a lot of the time is the Doctor one. This sounds a lot like a Doctor beat. That's kind of the whole point of it. The accent is very aggressive. And it, in my opinion, has the loudest sound output of the other ones. You also want to make sure that this volume right here is set to the max if you're looking for a marching band type thing. If not, it's kind of up to you, but I like to keep it at 6 decibels anyways. That way I can just adjust the volume with my, my iPad or whatever I'm using to practice. The next most important button is this one. It's a little 1, 2, 3, 4 in the corner. And this is what's used for count-ins. So if I click this video or this button on, it's going to automatically give me a count-in. This is really important for marching band style stuff. If we have presets to our marching show or whatever else, and we need to start at a certain letter, it's going to give us 8 counts to be prepared for that and to count off the ensemble. For this button, you want to make sure, I held on it to get this little sub-menu. For this, we want to make sure that we have the correct duration. If you want 8 beats, you can set it at 8 beats. If you want 4, you can set it at 4. I'm going to keep it at 8. Duration unit, you want beats instead of bars because that's just full measures. And then make sure there's 2 separate parts of this. Make sure that the voice count beats are all turned to gray. Because if they're not, they're going to give you like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's not what we want whenever we're counting ourselves off. Make sure that the metronome beats, this is what we want, are all blue if you want an unaccented version, and then all purple if you want an accented version. I'm going to keep it at blue for right now. All right, so that's the count-in feature. And then let's say we have a preset that we want to use. Let's say this is the default preset that came with the app. You're going to want to click this button. This is going to be to make sure that it goes from preset to preset in a flow manner. So it's not going to just stop on one or the other, which is what this would be. Like click on one to make sure it like adjusts to that version. This one's going to go by on its own. I'm going to speed up the metronome in this little clock feature. just to let you see kind of how it works. So that's the default one it gives you. It's a little funky, but we're going to teach in a different video how to make your own presets for your own shows and your own music. In order to get to the presets, we're going to go to all preset groups using these 4 lines. These are examples of other presets that I've used in the past for either high school show, which is what this is. As you can see, there's lots of presets here for letter chunks, or drum corps shows, which is what these are. Again, same thing. Very detailed, just to make sure that it's exactly what they need for the ensemble and to function at the highest level. We'll hit on this in a later video, but in this main frame, let's make an example real quick. So to make a new preset, you use this little plus button in the corner. It's going to say new group, and right now it has it set at 1/4 with a subdivision on the quarter notes, has 1 bar, and it's using metronome beats. So what we want to do is click use tempo. That way it gives us a tempo to base it off of. We're going to do fixed for right now. And let's say our tempo is going to be 160. So for this, let's say we have it in 1/4. We're going to say if it's 8 measures, we're going to do 8 times 4 because it's 4/4. We're going to do 32 bars. And so that'll give us 8 measures of 4/4 at 160 BPM. And I have it on 1/4 as the meter and not 4/4. That way it accents every single beat to give me the most clear and obvious beat that I can possibly get. To make further stuff within it, you add the plus button. It's going to give you a second one. You can obviously name each group and each thing, but that is for a later video. So back to the main metronome menu. I want to hit on one last thing before I end this off. This button in the top left corner is going to be to discern whether it's a simple or a complex metronome. Advanced, I think, is what they call it. We're going to make sure that this is always on the advanced side. If it's simple, then it's going to give us a really, really easy version. And for us, we want to make sure that we have as many details as we can possibly get. That way we're not confused or not able to run presets, anything like that. So I like to keep it on the advanced style. That way I can select exactly what kind of beat I want and anything else that I need. All right, so that will be all for this video. Stay tuned for a future one where we discuss how to make tonal energy presets within the app.